The Lincoln Memorial's become a Cobra Commander Memorial?
Yeah, and it looks like the United Nations have become one nation under Cobra.
Cobra has conquered the world.
I still can't believe any of this. Changes like these must have taken years to make. Hello? The date on this paper. It's the same as when we got blitzed by that transmuter, which means our lights couldn't have been out for long. But if we're not in the future, where are we?
Not another time, then another place, another world.
Welcome to Gimmicks, a podcast about the high-concept, experimental, structure-breaking gimmick episodes of TV. From musicals to bottle episodes to a parallel universe where the bad guys won. I'm David Arnold.
Being a podcaster is ruining my life. I don't even have a girlfriend anymore. I'm Derek B. Gale. And who is with us here today?
Hello, my name is Brett White, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Pop Heist, a worker-owned pop culture website that desperately needs subscribers.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I mean, that's just. And then, as for you might have also seen, you might have read my GI Joe coverage on Pop Heist, where I do episode recaps whenever I have time to, which is very rarely. But I'm 14 episodes in, which means I'm almost to the start of season 1.
Wow. Wow.
Just the crazy way they structured this show. And then I have also written a couple of opinion pieces on Pop Heist where I yell at right-wing lunatics who think that G.I. Joe is actually for them because they are wrong and don't understand. They're baby-brained. I call them baby-brained.
Yeah.
And then as a drag queen, Barb Hardley, I have done numerous G.I. Joe videos where I should have my Barb Hardley action figures over there. But I made my own G.I. Joe. Yeah, so I do drag queen G.I. Joe content.
What the world needs, truly.
Yeah.
Well, you might have guessed it from some of our preamble, but this episode we are talking about G.I. Joe, a real American hero, and the two-parter Worlds Without End.
Yes. If you're not familiar with G.I. Joe, there's plenty of things to talk about, but in the simplest terms, I think, this specific animated action series, G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, ties into Hasbro's 1982 toy line of the same name, itself a revival of the larger military-themed G.I. Joe franchise that has existed since the 1960s, but this cartoon, made by Marvel and Sumbo Productions and animated by Toei Animation, which is incredible, ran in syndication from 1983 to 1986 for 2 seasons of 95 episodes and a feature film, or I guess direct-to-DVD film, or direct-to-video film from the 1980s.
I got plenty of info on that. I'm deep in that.
Yes.
And was followed by a continuation series of the same name in 1989. But the plot, in the most general terms, follows a globe-trotting special missions force called G.I. Joe, made up of a bunch of uniquely skilled heroes, spies, soldiers, basically superheroes, fighting the forces of evil, specifically an evil terrorist organization known as Cobra, run by a wannabe fascist dictator, Cobra Commander.
My guy. We love Cobra
Oh,
Commander.
there he is.
I have so many figures of him.
So, Brett, obviously you are a fan of G.I. or you're connected to the G.I. Joe universe. I don't want to put the word fan in your mouth, but would you tell us a little bit about your experiences with G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero?
Well, it is. So I was born in '84. So it is kind of one of those, if you were born in the late '70s to mid '80s, this was kind of a thing. Like, you don't remember when you first got your G.I. Joe. They were just always there, man. I do remember getting my first figure, which was, I think, either Repeater, Hardball, or Lightfoot in I think those are 88, 89 figures. So I was like 4. Which is young. Like, that is, I don't have really formative memories from that. That's like before your brain really forms. And so that was, like just part of my entire childhood. I watched the Sunbow series, which is what we're talking about today, which is essentially the canon, in my opinion. It's my definitive canon. on repeats on like USA, like the Cartoon Express or something, like would run repeats of it. But in 1989, when Operation Dragonfire hit and then the DiC continuation started, those were my new G.I. Joes. And that is where the 90s took over, and all of a sudden Zartan had orange hair and Flint is a neon green eco warrior. And you know what? We still love it. I love it. So I kind of like G.I. Joe persisted through a lot of my other childhood obsessions, like I think in order, Dino Riders, Cops, Ninja Turtles, huge, Captain Planet, and it wasn't until like X-Men hit in like, October 92, Night of the Sentinels. Like G.I. Joe persisted up until that point, and then X-Men became my lifelong passion. And then X-Men and Star Wars, I don't know, I feel like they kind of betrayed me in the last 5 years.
You've been betrayed. A double agent has gotten to you.
I was like, my dad died, I turned 40, and then I was like, July 6, 2024, I was like, I'm just gonna go buy some G.I. Joes.
I get that.
And I went out and I found Lady J and Alpine. I bought them, and then that just rekindled an insane obsession that is very much a midlife crisis, and everything else in the world is falling apart. So I'm going back to the 1980s when things were better for gay men. I don't know. What does that say about now? What does that say about today?
A lot happened in there that I don't know that we could unpack on a G.I. Joe deep dive. That's incredible. And you're bringing a lot to the table on this one. Derek, I'd love to know from you what your experience is with G.I. Joe writ large, or even just this series in general.
Yeah, it was not one of my childhood things. I think we talked about this. Was it like a Stargate SG-1 that as a kid specifically, not anymore, but as a kid, I always had a weird thing with anything that was even lightly suggested to be military related.
That's right.
I would just be repelled by. So just the name G.I. Joe, even though they're literally just like superheroes, I was like, that's a military thing. I don't want it.
You are absolutely right, though. Can I tell you? These are the X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It made total sense to me.
That's what's funny. I could not care less about it as a kid, and then I think learning more about it as I got older, and like the parody PSAs, like the pork chop sandwiches videos, like hit off. Thought those really funny. It's sort of like, this show like looks kind of cool though, but then we're like, wait, they look like there's like a ninja guy, and like all these people have superpowers and stuff, and like they're like really hot gay looking men here too. Like, this is crazy.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah. And so eventually I got to it where like, I get it. And I've seen some of the Real American Hero cartoon through like reruns and streaming and stuff like that. But my knowledge base is so surface and casual. Like, I'm gonna need some help with people's names in this one. Like, that blonde guy is really having a bad time. Don't know who he is, but sure. Like, so that's where I'm at. But I totally get it. I get the appeal for sure.
Yeah, I didn't have any of these toys, which I think having the toys and watching the show was maybe the experience that was designed for me. Like Brett, I was born in the early 80s, and so I think like this was marketed towards about my age. But I was given gifts of like a tractor because I was a farmer, and so like my grandfather wanted me to be a farmer, and my toys had to be about farming, not about G.I. Joe.
There are a couple of episodes of G.I. Joe about farming. There is one about agriculture where Cobra invents a thing that makes vegetables grow really big.
Well, wow. Our communist king, like, bring it on. I'll get into this as we talk about this episode in particular, but I'm never sure if I'm kind of rooting for Cobra Commander because I love his voice. And
gay icon.
Every once in a while, his schemes are like my fantasies of like, I want to feed the world, but then there's probably an evil part of it because he is evil. That being said, I'm with Derek. I know very little about this. I've probably seen 20 episodes of G.I. Joe, but like a lingering thought that just went through my brain. I retained none of this, and boy, for these to be the first episodes that I came back to after a very long time, we are throwing around names that you are expected to know. And I got to a point in my notes that I was like, Girl, we're gonna pull up the very excellently maintained.
We're gonna get into the but it's like what also I haven't even mentioned, like the actual, for a lot of people, the actual cornerstone of G.I. Joe is the comic book series, which was written by Larry Hama, legend, from 82 to 95, early 95, late 94, 155 issues, which he then, when IDW got the license in 2010, he picked it back up again, and so now he's written 325 issues of this comic book, give or take one or two early on. So like it's still running today. Like Larry Hama's G.I. Joe run is still running today. It is batshit bonkers. It's great. But so the cool thing about Larry Hama is that he was he got the gig of writing all the file cards, of like essentially naming the characters and giving all them personalities. He would get the character designs and then be like, well, who is this guy? And he would come up with everything. And so that means like all of G.I. Joe is essentially filtered through the point of view of a Japanese-American Vietnam War vet who in the 70s was an actor and appeared in an episode of MASH, and then moved to New York where he did theater, but then became like a low-level editor at Marvel. And when Sunbow came and was like, we can't advertise toys on TV, but we can advertise comics.
Oh, okay.
That's how they were going to get around the laws about promoting. So they were like, who's going to write this comic? You were a hero. You were in Vietnam. You write this. So like all of G.I. Joe is filtered through a guy who is a Vietnam War veteran. So his view on the American military is a correct one, because he is not a fan. But so it's really that, to me, is like the bedrock of what G.I. Joe is, which therefore means that the bedrock is progressive. The bedrock is actually, surprisingly, not pro-military. And honestly, this episode kind of shows it a little bit.
Very strongly.
And so the comic book, to me, the comic book was the first comic book I ever collected monthly. In 1991 is when I think I started that. So, but like it to me is so different from the cartoon. It's still goofy and wacky and dramatic and weird and soap opera-y. So therefore gay. The cartoon is mine. But the thing that is so fascinating about G.I. Joe is that I know a lot, but I don't know everything, because it's impossible to know everything, because there are so many iterations that existed alongside each other. And then so many like reboots and revamps, and like it is like every single character is Psylocke, basically. It's like the kind of continuity we're dealing with at times.
yeah it's always fun though with that kind of stuff, because it's just like there's such a wide ridiculous world, and you can kind of pick and choose like, that's the one that I'm going to choose to not care about. And this is the one that I'm going to choose to focus on. Yeah. That is really fascinating though, because I think one of the things that why I was excited to be doing this show is that like on this podcast, we haven't had an opportunity to talk about any of the cartoons from that sort of like hyper toyetic 80s era yet. Like the thing that exists, like weirdly because of like Ronald Reagan deregulating like businesses, which is not a good thing, but like kind of ended up accidentally creating some like really incredible works of art that themselves started as basically commercials. Like, and I find that really fascinating. So like, I don't know, like, I guess for listeners who don't know the history of this, like in the broadest terms, and this is funny because some of the stuff I'm literally just pulling from articles that you have written, Brett. So speaking your words back to you. But like, the G.I. Joe is part of that wave of like He-Man, Transformers, My Little Pony, et cetera, in the 80s, where because Ronald Reagan was deregulating businesses because he was very pro-business, that also shrunk like the FCC's control over TV programming, like children's programming, which gave advertisers and broadcasters like free reign essentially, which meant that like when you have a toy line like G.I. Joe, they make those tie-in Marvel comics, like you were saying, Brett, and we're like, okay, we're going to make some animated commercials to advertise the comics, which is like the first time I think it's ever happened before.
I'll show you how to get G.I. Joe. It's Destro.
Of course it's Destro, you fool! Who else can help us?
We'll attack here.
Terrifying enemy of G.I. Joe. Destro is his name. Destro is his name. G.I. Joe, American hero. Fighting Cobra and Destro.
Where'd those jets come from? G.I. Joe headquarters. We've got to find it.
But will they? Read the further adventures of G.I. Joe in Marvel Comics.
they're very popular, so they're like, all right, we're going to expand it to a miniseries, which then gets expanded into a full syndicated show. Ergo, technically, this entire cartoon is literally one big commercial for toys.
Yeah.
Like, that is the truth, and that kind of ends up being what cartoons are for a very long time. And, like, I think saying that, it's sort of like, well, that sounds like that sucks. That feels very anti-art. But what I always find interesting about this kind of stuff is that, like, then there end up being actual creatives and artists that are working on these toy commercials, essentially, that end up still trying to craft narratives that make sense to them and deliver like messages and like, you know, try to touch on hot button issues and make PSAs and stuff like that, like, which is just so fascinating.
What I think the best example of that is something that is going to be part of my, I'm currently working on at Pop Heist, a series called the Cobra La Corpus, which is my defense of the G.I. Joe movie, where I've interviewed a bunch of the people behind the toys and the cartoon, because the G.I. Joe movie is it's one of my favorite movies of all time. In 1987, it is perfect. But like, so what I find fascinating about that is when Hasbro, so like one of the storyboard directors, Larry Houston, who also worked on all the cartoons, so we worked on this episode as well. He's a storyboard director. He also did X-Men. He was a showrunner of X-Men in '92. So like, so you know, he's a big deal. So he told me that like when Hasbro came to the storyboard directors and they'd already decided we're killing Duke because we're not selling the toy anymore, so we're going to kill that character. We're also doing that to Optimus Prime, so it's, you know, dramatic stakes, blah, 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 so just make that happen. And then Larry Houston and the storyboard directors were like, well, what about Scarlet, who I'm wearing a Ninja Force Scarlet t-shirt right now that I made. They're like, who? Like, what do you want? Well, it's like, well, we've spent 65 episodes establishing Duke and Scarlet as essentially a romantic couple. Like, what is Scarlet's role in Duke's death? And they're like, we don't care. Don't put her in there. We're not selling that toy anymore. Whatever. Just blah, 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 blah. And then like all the storyboard directors look at each other and like, well, we're putting Scarlet in this movie. And so in the movie, when Duke gets a flying snake spear through the heart, like, which doesn't end up killing him. Oh. But anyway, while he's dying, you know, blood, like Scarlet is the one cradling him. And she's the one that says like, he slipped into a coma, which was supposed to be he died, but they had to change it. Anyway. So like, but that is to me emblematic of like the demands of a toy company who doesn't give a shit. But then Larry Houston he told me like, we were thinking about the story and like, if we kill Duke, kids are going to be like, well, where is Scarlet? Because we've spent all this time establishing these characters and like fleshing them out. And I just thought that was really beautiful. And then you can also see that in these episodes too, to a big degree.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I love that stuff. Like one of my other podcasts that I do is Wallopy Web Snappers, where we look at Spider-Man cartoons, and obviously most, if not all, of those cartoons are like meant to be very toyetic, and it's always just so interesting where like you can have the cynical viewpoint that like you're watching a big toy commercial. That's like not untrue, and I buy the toys for all of those cartoons that I watch, but like that doesn't mean that you can't tell really good, powerful narratives within them. And if you have a good creator behind it, it can just be as powerful and important and you know, effective as anything that was written to be a movie, not a commercial in the first place. You know, like it can do both things, and that's great.
I mean, I Love Lucy was created to sell like detergent, you know, like literally every single TV show before the advent of like HBO and streaming is a commercial. Because it was all created to sell ads. Like, so, you know, I don't really see a difference between like Seinfeld and G.I. Joe to that end. Like, ultimately, they were kept on the air because they were popular and making money for advertisers or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But
Yeah. And maybe
Yeah.
not the last time we hear the word Seinfeld on this recording.
Oh, wait, ooh.
Wait, really?
I
I'm
got
actually
you.
not sure what you're referring to.
Hang out. You just hold your horses.
Okay. All right. Real quick, I'll run through a little bit with the development of this show. Not like development, I guess the people involved that are worth calling out. So there's a couple people I think that are important to this early era, the sort of credited creator, and then her primary force of this season. Ron Friedman is kind of the credited creator developer because he had crafted the initial 5-part miniseries in '83. He's one of those guys that has just like the deepest of deep wells of credits
so
in
many
television.
things.
He was working back in the 60s and
yeah.
70s with sitcoms.
Name a show, and he wrote at least one episode for it.
Yep.
Yeah, like stuff like All in the Family and Happy Days, like Gilligan's Island.
Get Smart,
like,
Gilligan's Island,
Yeah.
I Dream of Jeannie, Odd Couple. Like, yeah, he's a lot of Love Boat and like Fantasy Island, you know?
Yeah. So like they tapped a TV guy to do this. He also co-wrote the G.I. Joe movie and Transformers the movie. I didn't know this, but he worked with Stan Lee in like helping create the Marvel Action Hour in the 90s, the one with Iron Man and Fantastic Four. So he was a major part of crafting that, two shows that everyone loves universally that were big hits. But yeah, he's kind of who kind of jump started the show creatively. But for this particular season, once it went to series, the primary force is Steve Gerber. I did not know that Steve Gerber was involved in this at all.
That changes everything. Like,
Really
I didn't know.
does.
Like, so like if you love 70s Marvel comics, G.I. Joe is for you, because pretty much the entire writing staff are like Marv Wolfman, Jerry and Carla Conway, who created Carol Danvers as Ms. Marvel, and then Marty Pasco, who does these episodes, and then Steve Gerber did fucking Howard the Duck. Like,
Really wild. Like good. Like he's a good like satirical writer and like kind of comedy writer, which I think when you look at something like this through that lens, it's sort of like, oh, there's stuff in this that I'm not supposed to actually be taking as seriously as I think you might think you are initially, which then immediately makes it have a little bit more of a subversive bent to it, which is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, he's like won tons of awards. Howard the Duck is I think the big thing, but like lots of work on Man-Thing, The Defenders. He helped revive Guardians of the Galaxy. Fun fact, he co-wrote some Dr. Fate backup stories in The Flash that he co-wrote with Martin Pasco, who wrote these two episodes. So yeah, so that's pretty fun. And in animation, he's working, in like Thundar and Dungeons and Dragons, stuff that's around this time. But he also wrote an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation in season 2, funny enough, and contributed a whole bunch to Superman and the new Batman adventures as well.
oh wow,
Yeah.
There is also a lot of Star Trek The Next Generation crossover with this cast. It is wild how close everyone involved creatively is to each other in other projects outside of G.I. Joe.
oh wow.
Fascinating. I mean, genre TV people
Yeah.
stick together, I guess, whether it's in animation
Was
or live
the era
action.
as well.
And ultimately comic conventions.
Well,
Exactly,
yes.
yeah.
Celebrity Alley.
Well, this time we are here to talk about season 1, episodes 36 and 37, Worlds Without End, part 1 and part 2.
During a struggle between G.I. Joe and Cobra, an accident triggers an experimental weapon. The Joes are plunged into unconsciousness, and when they awaken, the explosion has hurled them into an alternate reality, where some things are identical to our world, while others, like the disease-bearing insect that stings Steeler, are very, very different. Washington, D.C. has become the capital of an evil empire. Flint, Airtight, and Barbecue are captured by the Dreadnoks as enemies of the state. And Lady J, Clutch, and Footloose face doom in the skies as we begin part 2 of Worlds Without End.
The original air date on these was November 4th and 5th, 1985. And the synopsis per IMDb: some Joes start to have doubts about whether or not the fight with Cobra is doing any real good. Maybe they should just stop fighting. A small group of Joes find themselves at a place where the Joes have apparently lost to Cobra.
This episode was written by Martin Pasco, we've mentioned. He's as much a comic writer as he's a TV writer, just like many writers on this show. He wrote a bunch of major runs for both Marvel and DC. He wrote the Gargoyles tie-in comics with Marvel that aired alongside the show. Lots and lots of Superman and Superman adaptations. One of the things I thought was interesting is that for a while he was the DC Comics liaison to Warner Brothers. So like he would be the guy who was vetting scripts and pitches for like DC adaptations in TV and movies and stuff like that. Which, would be a weird job to have had. Like, I think he was doing it like in the 2000s too. Like,
That's a lot. God.
he was sort of vetting like Smallville scripts and stuff like that. So like, what a weird time to have been in that job too. But funny enough, I don't think he ever wrote a single G.I. Joe comic. Larry
Hama had a Vice grip on. No other writers wrote that until the relaunch in like 2001.
Okay.
But like what I find interesting about all that though is that I think G.I. Joe persists because of all these comic book writers, because there is a very comic book Marvel Comics approach to writing this.
Okay.
I liken it to if you watch G.I. Joe now, you're like, oh, this animation looks hokey. Like, wow, you can like kind of grouse about blah, blah. But then it's like, compare it to Super Friends or to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which was airing like a year earlier. And so therefore, when you put it in that context, it's like the character work and dialogue is fascinating and rich. And then also the animation is light years ahead of what all that was. And it's because Larry Houston was watching anime and trying to bring a lot of that into American animation via G.I. Joe by like making things more cinematic. Like these 2 episodes are nonstop action scenes.
Genuinely.
No, truly. I know that people can criticize the animation if they want, but like I would fight them tooth and nail on it because I think this show looks fucking great. I think Toei rules at what they do. They're one of the the biggest, most renowned studios for a reason, and I know with Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, like there's a handful of episodes that Toei did, and those are the episodes of that show that look amazing. And I think because like Marvel and Toei already had a relationship because like Stan Lee was trying to get Super Sentai ported over into America back then, and so I think that helped with their relationship. So then they could have Toei animate some other Marvel production shows, and I think that's how by the time they get to G.I. Joe, they can actually just have Toei do all of it because they've already kind of tested the waters with them, which rules. But I think it looks fucking incredible. And I have to imagine this is probably an entry point for anime for a lot of people because then they start seeking out stuff that looks similar to it,
Yep.
I mean, like, I don't know, even the pedigree with like outside of comics with like Pasco, he's written in like, he wrote for like Roseanne, which was weird.
Wow.
Like a couple of episodes. But like in animation, he wrote like Ninja Turtles. He won an Emmy for Batman the Animated Series. He also worked on Mask of the Phantasm. So like,
oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, all these guys are like cross-generational with their animation stuff too.
Well, I mean, like Paul Dini got his start on G.I. Joe.
Yeah, right. So it's it totally makes sense. The episode was credited to being directed by John Gibbs and Terry Lennon. Cartoons back in the day, they didn't have like credited directors per episode. It would usually just credit the supervising directors for the whole season. So these guys are technically credited for directing 55 episodes of season 1, regardless of exactly what work they did on them. They're both Marvel Productions guys, so they worked on like many famous 80s cartoons like Muppet Babies and Transformers and Gem and stuff like that. Gibbs also did some 80s Spider-Man, but seems to have stopped working in the early 90s. Lennon, however, has had a very, very, very consistent career as an animation timer on all sorts of TV and movies. He worked even on some like Renaissance Disney movies. Like he worked on The Little Mermaid, like uncredited. And then he continued through like direct-to-video Disney sequels and stuff like that. He's working as recently as 2020 with the Animaniacs.
Oh, wow.
Remake,
Oh, awesome.
Long career.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Well, you ready to dive into this cast? Because there's a lot here. First of all, there's a lot of people, so we are not doing every single voice actor on this, but I have...
Please, God, no.
I've pulled some of the best stories, but I do want to start with Christopher Collins. Christopher Latta, who played Cobra Commander, is also the voice of Steeler the Blonde, Derek.
Yes.
In this
and you can
episode.
tell whenever Steeler starts losing his mind.
It's a little Cobra Commander.
We've gone to the devil!
He's got a little bit of that barbed wire coming in.
That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Collins started his career as a stand-up comedian. Pretty good with his stand-up comedy. I guess he won an award in 1990. But his first voice acting credit was as part of the dub cast on the 1979 series Space Battleship Yamato. He is best known for being Cobra Commander, but he was also Starscream in Transformers. He originated the voice of Mr. Burns and Mo Sizlak on The Simpsons before they brought in other actors. Whether or not Collins regrets that is, a subject that Hank Azaria apparently gets asked about a ton. Like, how do you feel about the guy you replaced? And Hank Azaria was like, I didn't even know I replaced a guy. Yikes.
Yeah.
He was the host of King Koopa's Cool Cartoons. I can't believe this has come up a second time in my life.
Three podcasts I've been on within like the past 6 months. This has Chris Latta voicing King Koopa's Cool Cartoons has come up for me. Because it's come up because he was a voice on Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends for a villain. And Doug and I went to a whole rabbit hole discovering this show. Where King Koopa's Cool Cartoons, spelled with all Ks, by the way.
We don't love that. We don't love that.
There's 4.
4 Ks. I mean, there are 3 Ks.
Yeah.
But 4 Ks.
Yeah, but so it's like they add that one to be a little bit safe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, Brett. That's a very generous reading.
Yeah.
But it came up on that, and then Super Mario Moment, the one episode I was on recently, went deep on that, and now it's coming up again. again, I mean, I love it because I love the costume he
yes.
wears in that show, but I can't escape it. It's for a while that keeps
But
coming
between that and his time on The Simpsons, he's kind of known as difficult to work with, and that is why he's getting let go of jobs. I mean, Brett, you're a bigger Joe head than I am. I couldn't find anything from his time on G.I. Joe where anyone reported anything but him being delightful, which is wild because every other job they're like, this guy was kind of rude.
Yeah, when I heard, oh God, who was I talking to? Or I might have read an interview somewhere where like they allude to his problems.
Yes.
And they say it like that. And it's like, well, what does that sound like? Or they say like he was great to work with despite, his problems or whatever. I think that's even talking about G.I. Joe, but it sounds like he's someone who was like delightful to work with when he got to the studio. And then who knows what shape he was in when he got to the studio. I don't know. But, he brought all that grit to old CC, to old Cobra Commander. So...
I do want to talk about Cobra Commander being kind of a gay icon, but I'll wrap up Christopher Collins / Chris Latta's history. He was on some sitcoms and then was on both Star Trek Next Generation and DS9. In 1994, he passed away at age 44 from complications of encephalitis.
It's so fucking sad because he could still be voicing Cobra Commander today.
Or many other things based on how prolific the rest of the cast is. But before we move on to other characters, Brett, why is Cobra Commander such a gay icon? What's going on here?
Fabulous. He's just so I can't even speak to it other than I did a fantasy casting for my own G.I. Joe movie on Popeye. So please go see it. The premise being G.I. Joe should be cast with comedians.
Agreed. As Latta / Collins was.
The only person who can play Cobra Commander is Billy Eichner. Like,
that wounds me. That wounds me to my heart. I mean, the voice is there, but oh god, maybe as Cobra Commander, I could find a way to accept it.
I kind of love that. No, I love that. That's fantastic.
Screaming, angry. Like, there's Cobra Commander is just he's elegance and extravagance and just buffoonery. Like he is Alyssa Edwards in a chrome face mask. Like there's a scene in one of the very first episodes where he's like celebrating a victory and he has like a big banquet table just to himself and he's like got his like bib tucked in and stuff and he's waving a giant turkey leg around, but he still has his chrome face mask on.
Yeah.
And the turkey leg has like a bite out of it and stuff, and it's like that's ridiculous. And it's I think all of it might come from Chris Latta's performance because it is just so over the top insane in a way that is still endearing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also because, a lot of villains are gay coded. And, I think we were supposed to read that as a negative for a very long time. But now we have some gay heroes. So now we can be like, oh, well, these villains that are gay coded are also coded.
Right.
But yeah, he feels just like a drag character. Like, I saw O'Mary on Broadway with Jinx Monsoon, and the only thing aside from just being like, this is fucking amazing, I kept thinking, this is a Cobra Commander show.
Yes.
I was like, what could I write an O'Mary about Cobra Commander? Because that level of just mania and delusion and energy, I find him just an amazing character. And I just get lost thinking about him.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, and also his relationship with Destro and his all of the inner workings of Cobra.
It's so catty.
Are just they all hate each other and they all bicker like little bitches. Yeah. it's
so good.
They read each other to filth. I mean, the opening of the G.I. Joe movie is Serpentor finally being like, Cobra Commander, you fucking suck. And then him being like, everyone, defend me. And they're all like, you're a buffoon. You're a moron. Like, you did, like, and they're all like Tomax and Zaymon, who are like, the Eurotrash twins, are all like yelling at it. It's just, and Baroness, like, come on. Cobra Commander's a gay icon because he hangs out with Baroness and Destro.
Yeah, that
Destro
totally makes
and
sense.
Dr. Mindbender. The shirtless guy with the metal suspenders and the codpiece.
Sadly, not featured in this episode.
No.
Yeah. I've just been thinking of Cobra Commander doing Billy on the Street bits and like yelling like "Name one woman" this entire time. Name one woman.
That's funny. Cobra Commander as Billy Eichner, I can get behind. Billy Eichner as Cobra Commander, I still need to marinate out for a little while.
No, I think that's a slam dunk. I'm totally down with that.
Yeah, I mean, my casting was Idris Elba as Destro, and then Natasha Dimitriou from What We Do in the Shadows as Baroness.
Oh my god,
choice there.
Jeez, that's incredible.
Imagine any scene between the three of them just yelling at each other.
This is a queer trio, and we do love all three of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then let's get to Destro, because this is voiced by this character is voiced by Arthur Budhart. His first acting role was as the great Ahmed Khan in the Faye Dunaway Peter Finch film Network. It was sort of a spoof. I don't know if either of you have seen it. It's kind of a weird movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I love Network. Network's awesome.
This is one of the films that was shown to me by my English teacher in high school that I think he was like, this is my favorite film ever, and these children won't appreciate it. And I feel bad for him, but I did not appreciate it at age 13.
Oh, no. It's a great movie.
I think today I would like it a lot more.
You would appreciate it today. Yeah.
Budhart then does soap opera work. He's on One Life to Live for 170 episodes. A blink of an eye in the soap opera world, but plenty to pay his bills.
That's barely a year.
Then he breaks into voice acting. Besides G.I. Joe, he voiced Pete in the Prince of the Pauper featurette. Pete, the like rival to Mickey Mouse. He's the only black actor to have ever voiced Pete, which is a little surprising to me because I do think of more baritones being right for that role. And he's got a bassy baritone voice. He is the skull that talks in the Conan the Adventurer series. And he voiced Venom in Ultimate Spider-Man, the 2005 video game.
I didn't realize I was the same guy. That's cool.
He was asked to audition about a dozen times for the sitcom Seinfeld and never cast. And so and this is something we talked about when we talked about Seinfeld. One of the things he would do if somebody wasn't cast is that he would do something to honor them. So there is a highway named after this actor, the Arthur Budhart Expressway, in the season 8 episode of Seinfeld, The Pothole.
Oh my God. Oh, not a good episode.
No.
Oh my
season
God.
8? This is like Kramer hijinks. No, thank you.
Yeah. It's very cute, but also I would be like, or you could just cast me in your show and pay
just put me like, just give me,
Thank you, Jerry.
I want some actual royalties
I
here.
think you could just walk in and be like, I'm Jerry Seinfeld, cast who I want. But alas, here we are.
His performance as Destro is just so good.
Very
he
good.
gets so many of the great hit, like man, I wish I could remember some of the insane insults he gives Cobra Commander. Like, oh, you like something poppin', Jay? Oh, God,
Poppin' Jay.
Yeah, like he says such insane shit, and he's great. He's great.
To round out this threesome, we have Morgan Lofting as Baroness. Voice acting debut on this actress was the 1979 series Space Battleship Yamato, alongside Christopher Collins. Before G.I. Joe, she was Aunt May on Spider-Man, the 1981, 1982, 1983, I think,
Just
series.
1981, Not Amazing Friends, I think is what you're referring to. Yeah.
Yes. Her obituary also credited her as Black Cat in that
She is.
series. Okay, but it is not on other sources, so I knew Derek would know. After G.I. Joe, she doesn't do voice acting for a while. She goes back to school and gets degrees in history, becomes a librarian. And then in the 2010s, she takes on voice acting again.
Was she Morgana Le Fay or whatever on DuckTales?
I don't think
who
so.
is that? I don't know. For some reason,
That's
that
one of the
was
ones that would have
one of the
risen to the top for me, if I'm being honest with you, Brett.
Yeah, so I guess not. No. But like, imagine going to the library and your librarian is fucking
It's the Baroness? That's
incredible.
awesome.
Yeah. Like, does her natural voice sound like Baroness, or is she putting on a voice for Baroness? Do you know?
It feels like a performance. She was a villain in that Ben 10. That was her last voice acting credit.
Okay.
She played a villain in Ben 10. So maybe she just has a villain voice in the pocket. Because someone who goes to school for history and then becomes a librarian feels like maybe they have an approachable voice.
That makes sense.
So that brings me. Oh, I guess we need to actually talk about Baroness before I completely go off the rails. But no, Baroness is what I love about Baroness. Well, first of all, Baroness's origin as a character is also fascinating because in 1982, when Larry Hama was writing G.I. Joe #1, this was at a time before toy companies thought they should make villain figures, because the initial thing with G.I. Joe, Hasbro thought was, well, we make the G.I. Joes, and then like He-Man toys are the bad guys, or just like Star Wars toys are the like, it's our toys versus everyone else, so we're not making any bad guys. They take that idea to Marvel, And oh god, who was it? It was I can't remember who it was. One of those like illustrious Marvel people was like it wasn't Jim Shooter, but was basically like Cobra. Just give me they're Cobra. Like he named Cobra and was like, you need a terrorist organization. They're Cobra. So the first wave of G.I. Joe figures is basically just like Cobra Commander and then a Cobra Officer and a Cobra Trooper, which are the exact same, except one has a silver emblem and one has like a red. So like whatever. So like there were no bad guys. And so Larry Hama is tasked with, you have to write a comic book. And he's like, I have Cobra Commander, who is a guy with a face mask and then a bunch of masked goons. Who is he talking to? Like, who are his co-conspirators? And so he creates a character, Baroness. And so Baroness is like designed for G.I. Joe number 1. And that's 1982. When they start going into production on the 1983, the first miniseries, they've introduced Major Blood into the toy line. So they have Major Blood and they have Destro because they come out in 83, right? And they still need like more. So they put Baroness in the cartoon, which is why in the very first miniseries, Baroness is wearing her blue and yellow jumpsuit, which is what she wore in the comics. And so after they do that is when they're like, okay, well, we are inducting Baroness into the canon now. So they hand off that character idea to Ron Rudat, who loves drawing sexy ladies like it.
And he's good at it.
I mean, because he's a man in the 80s, so he loves drawing sexy women. Like, it's a shock there weren't more female action figures in G.I. Joe. I'll just say that because he loves it. And he's the one that designs the black bodysuit, armor, snake emblem, etc. And then she becomes the Baroness that we all know and love. But it is crazy that like she was created by Larry Hama for the comic book. It's one of the only times that the flow is always from toy to comic book to movie. It is, or to toy to cartoon. It is never from comic book back into. It's kind of like Marvel TV in the 2010s, where it was like, you are never going to see Fitzsimmons in a movie, guys. Never.
What a shame.
But you are going to see Nick Fury on that show.
Yeah. Wherever you go.
God. Yeah. So yeah, and she's an icon. She is so. I love Baroness because, first of all, HBIC. Yeah. Like, having a female villain that is that iconic, wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Just like cunt serving, you know. And her default mode is screaming hysteria, which not in these episodes.
No, she's very contained here, which is a little wild.
Yeah, so she's always just like at a 10, just losing her mind over just and her relationship with Destro is actually weirdly tender in the cartoon in other episodes. Like there's an episode where she thinks Destro is cheating on her. They kiss, like, which also is weird to see in an 80s cartoon as like characters kissing, because I don't know. You think Disney Afternoon. You don't think, Goofy's going on a date and kissing girls or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah. So just total gay icon. And apparently straight men find her attractive.
I find her attractive, so I buy that.
Okay. See, that makes more sense to me. I don't know what it is about my brain where I'm like, I don't know, she looks kind of mousy with, well, not mousy, but just like the severe middle part and the glasses.
That works for me, Brett. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. It's very queer coded. It's so queer coded to me that when straight men have like a Baroness fetish, I'm always just like, I mean, I get Scarlet, I don't know, have a librarian king, get off on it, baby.
Next time you meet someone, Brett, who's sexually into Baroness, I would ask them their feelings on Morticia Addams, and if that lines up, then I think you're getting closer to a thesis point on this. I think there's a type.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and also the original Baroness design, she wore these like green glasses, very Gloria Steinem. So I think those are not as hot as what she gets.
This was a hot look.
Like the black frames. But then in the movies, they like just the movies just mess. The movies are terrible. Well, don't need to talk about that.
The live action ones.
The live action movies are just Retaliation is as close as you get to being a good G.I. Joe movie, but it still is like The Rock is the lead, and hot take, not really. The Rock is awful.
Yeah.
He was a good wrestler. He was a good.
The Rock's not a good actor.
Wrestling actor. I don't know that I think.
Yeah.
Stay on that, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple of quickies here. Bill Ratner as Flint, big role here in this episode, but not a huge career outside of G.I. Joe. His first voice acting role was on Meatballs and Spaghetti, a CBS morning show that was like universally hated. And like outside of being Flint in G.I. Joe, he's probably best known for being Udina in the Mass Effect series.
Oh, wow. I didn't even make that connection. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, his voice sounds a lot different.
Is he making money from that? Is that a big deal?
He's a significant character in the original trilogy of Mass Effect. Yeah.
Good for him. I want him to.
Yeah. He's the human ambassador and kind of a shithead, but
he's a major. He's a love to hate him character who kind of maybe gets redeemed a little bit by the end, and he's very good at it in those games.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that coin, since we're going to spend time with these two units essentially in this episode, is Mary McDonald as Lady J. This is her most significant voice acting role, but today she has a huge career as a dialogue coach on tons of television series and films. She was the dialogue coach on Twilight, for example. I don't know if that was good or bad because I don't know what a dialogue coach does.
Huh. Okay.
I have my Flint and Lady
there
J
they
figures
are.
right.
These are the two we're spending the time with today.
I will often say that in pop culture there are just a handful of straight couples I care about, and those being Han Solo and Princess Leia, Gambit and Rogue, Doug Ross and Carol Hathaway from ER, and Flint and Lady J.
Yeah, Brett, these are pretty gay straight couples. Just to let you know.
Well, they have big bisexual energy. On both, and so that's why in my movie that someone should really take me up on, I cast Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson as Flint and Lady J.
Absolutely,
because Kristen Stewart as Lady J makes so much sense, and I was like, but how do you pair her with a man? Because Kristen Stewart now just has such big dick energy as like a lesbian, and I was like, well, Robert Pattinson, that worked.
Yeah.
So her voice, Lady J and Shipwreck are my two favorite G.I. Joes. And I love Lady J because she has that rogue energy. She has that raspy voice, husky voice. And she is wearing a jumpsuit. She just has javelins. She's incredibly effective. She is high ranking, does a great job all the time. And what I also like to point out is that even though there are only 4 canonical female Joes in this golden era, she's in almost every episode. She is the most, by screen time, she is the most prominent character in the cartoon. And there are also episodes where her and Scarlet are just teamed up, and it isn't the plot of the episode is not all the ladies have to team up and save the boys. No, it's just Scarlet and Lady J are friends, and And Flint, I love Sumbo Flint. I love the cartoon version. He's an asshole in the comics. I just think he's such a it's like a hard soft boy.
Yeah, he's got some golden retriever energy that I'm kind of here for.
Yeah, and hot. If we're going to talk about hot cartoon characters.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to date him when he's gone to Seed, but for now he's fine. Yeah. But leave the Joes for a decade and eat a couple cheeseburgers. Yeah, I'm totally there.
Oh, I get that.
Then we should have watched There's No Place Like Springfield, which is where Shipwreck goes through that. And because Shipwreck is my
he's the star hottie, absolutely.
He's on this episode.
Easy to gravitate to.
Damn it.
It's him and who's the leather daddy? Is that Gung Ho? Is that right? The one who does
Gung Ho is with the chest tattoo.
Yeah,
yes,
those are
all
right.
Okay. I looked up Shipwreck.
I have a huge 15-inch by 15-inch, weighs 15 pounds G.I. Joe book that is the art of all the action figures. It has all the card back art, the original paintings and stuff. And I was on Christmas when I got it, I was to my husband, I was come over here. I want to go through this. And I would just show him, and he was just like, what the hell? Oh my God. These are all Tom of Finland illustrations. And I'm yeah, for a bunch of straight painters, a lot of these images are ass forward, bare chested. Everyone has mustaches, lots of leather. It's so gay coded, and there's an undercurrent of gay panic and is it gay to have fun in a lot of the straight GI Joe discourse, the right wing GI Joe discourse. Like they get off on things like, what are the most realistic episodes of the cartoon? Like who cares?
Yeah.
It's
fun.
cartoon.
We're just here to
This was
have
meant
fun.
to be stupid.
Yeah.
Like this is not realistic military shit.
Yeah.
So those are the cast members I wanted to make sure that we talked about because they are sort of the leads of the episode. But I have background on other people. So Brett, if you have someone that you really hoped that we would talk about, I'm happy to do a little a type 5 on it. But otherwise, we can move on.
I mean, this is an interesting episode because the primary cast of Joes, I mean, as we see, are like, what characters are we cool with writing off because we're not selling the toys anymore?
Yeah.
And how they, would write episodes is they would give a writer an episode and basically like a list of like, here are the figures you need to include and here are the vehicles you need to include. Go at it. So a lot of episodes start from that. And so, yeah, you can kind of, because like it is a weird, the Joes on this episode is a weird, like Airtight, Barbecue, and Footloose are mid to low tier Joes, but I do love that Airtight has like Norman Osborn hair. He has that deep widow's peak, male pattern baldness on a GI Joe. And then Barbecue speaks in like the most like JFK
weird voice
accent possible.
Weird voice.
So weird.
Oh, the thing that I wanted to bring up is that when people talk about wokeness and stuff now about like, how come only gay people can play gay characters and only black people can play black characters? Like that kind of shit. On G.I. Joe, if you see a character from a minority or a marginalized background, the voice actor matches it.
Love that.
Like
Love that.
The guy that played Francois Chow, who played on Lost, who played the Dharma guy on Lost, voices Quick Kick.
Nice.
For like there's a Hawaiian character, a Samoan character, they got a Hawaiian actor. Storm Shadow was voiced by a Japanese American, I believe. Even shit like CoverGirl, who is the model turned Joe, is voiced by a model turned actor.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And like all of the black characters are voiced by black actors, and then Destro is voiced by a black actor, not a Scottish actor though. Although Arthur Burkhart always said he's not doing an exaggerated Scottish accent. My Destro is still Scottish,
Incredible.
but it is
Incredible.
But like it is so weird to me. It's so crazy because it's like they absolutely did not need to have a diverse voice cast in the 1980s before voice actors had like Instagram accounts and you knew who they were, Like even in the credits, they're just listed as like, here's a bunch of names. You don't know who they play. So it is fascinating to me that they went that far with making sure that because G.I. Joe is so diverse, which is the other thing. It is DEI Antifa. Like,
yes. Yeah,
I love that. I fucking love that. That rules. No, but I'm glad you pointed out though, because that is a thing that like people act like it's a very recent thing that has happened. But like there have been many cartoons throughout the ages that were very popular that did this. Also many that absolutely did not, and it was still a problem.
Yeah.
But like the ones that did, like it usually benefited them. Like it made the performances better, and it made the characters better and more memorable. Like I agree. Like the show's better because of that. So that's very cool.
And they even get away with a lot of stuff too. They avoid tokenism by like, they have Spirit, who is the, Native American Joe, who is, his name is Spirit, like, and it could be kind of like that. But they also have Airborne, who was introduced first, who is also a Native individual, who's just like a parachute jumper, and also like kind of a psychic in his episode. But like that's not.
Again, they're kind of the X-Men. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then you have like Roadblock, who like speaks in rhyme like Nipsey Russell, but he also like loves cooking. And then there's also a lot of other black GI Joes. Like, so no one person has to bear the weight of representing an entire group.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what is so beautiful about G.I. Joe, and where I don't understand where people get it twisted.
Yeah, and the benefit of there being like 5,000 characters too. Like it's like because you can have a full ensemble that's actually diverse. It's great.
A roster of 50, as they say in this episode.
Wild.
And that's how many names I feel like I wrote down in my notes was 50 names, but it truly wasn't even that much.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Very soon, the whole world will see the power of Cobra.
G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
Now Joe's coming at you with more action and more adventure than ever before. Coming at you 5 days a week, fighting for freedom against the evil forces of Cobra. Don't miss it.
Today at 3:30.
Come on over where the fun is, TV 53. Joe team, our work isn't done yet.
Follow the exciting adventures of the Joe Team 5 days a week as they battle the evil forces of Cobra. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's the most exciting and explosive series ever. Don't miss a single day.
Weekdays at 3 on 44.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
We won't have to spend much of any time on this, but like the gimmick of the episode, just to state it, it is an alternate universe one. This is one of the most simple gimmicks we've ever been able to deal with. They just go to a parallel universe. We've dealt with these types of things before, but honestly, like this is the most straightforward, no frills one. Like we talk about like Angel and like Ugly Betty, like their parallel universe stuff like that, for example. But like all of those had some weird element to it. This literally, it's just they go through a portal to another place where the bad guys win. That's it.
Yep.
Love it. Straight to the point. Perfect.
Yeah.
I found an interview with Marty Pasca who was talking about this, and he was talking about, I guess from his point of view, like this actually wasn't a well-known trope, at least for like kids, maybe, because there was some worry about like, are kids gonna understand this? And he was like, yeah,
they'll understand.
Like it's not. So it is kind of, it's kind of groundbreaking in the way that like Days of Future Past is groundbreaking when you like look at it and be like, yeah, like the travel back in time to save a apocalyptic future story is overdone now, but in 1981 when Claremont and Byrne did it, not as. So yeah, like, and I do really appreciate that. First, they think like the Joes actually like use deduction to figure out what has happened because they're zapped with a weird transmuter ray thing. They first think that the transmuter ray has warped the landscape around them. Then they think, oh, we've actually been maybe asleep for a long time. And then they realize, oh, I think we're in a different dimension.
Yeah.
Like
my favorite part about that is that when they go through the dimension and sort of we're getting the understanding that that is what has happened, we almost line for line read the introduction of Sliders. Like not a different time, not a different me, but a different universe. And I was like, yes, thank you. Yeah. Give it to me.
It is funny. I love that, first of all, because that's so true. But I do think it was one of my favorite parts of this, I think, was how they let the parallel universe thing be a reveal for the end of part 1, basically. And I do think they are playing on the idea that like you might not know going into this that this is what this is about, because they really do, I think, do a good job of sort of just making you assume like they're in a dark future or whatever the entire time until someone literally just looks at a newspaper. And I went into it knowing it was a parallel universe thing. So I'm like watching the whole time, like, when are they going to like explain to the children what a parallel universe is? Like the clock's kind of ticking.
Think of the children.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh no, because they are saving that. So it's actually a big reveal because the stakes are different for a parallel universe than it is for a time travel story. I just think it's kind of cool. I don't know that I've ever seen it done like that before, where they sort of save the explanation for the entire concept until like the cliffhanger, basically.
The halfway point.
Yeah.
It's like Lady J figures it out, and then all of a sudden, missile coming at her.
And
to be continued.
I will say the to be continued gagged me. I was like, "Are you? That is a rude to be continued."
Yeah,
it comes out of like nowhere.
Yeah. Oh my god. Who wants to talk about the opening theme for G.I. Joe and the opening sequence of G.I. Joe, first of all?
Yo, Joe! He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
G.I. Joe is is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
It is. Every single iteration of it is just more iconic than the last. This is the third iteration of it because they did 2 different ones for the 2 miniseries. And it's basically just like the most exciting part of every episode.
Really?
It is just every single G.I. Joe at the time just fighting, doing crazy shit. Like I always think of Destro falling into the arms of like Footloose, who throws him to Roadblock, who throws him to like, into Ripper or something. There's Flint like body slamming Cobra Commander through a window into his globe on his like giant snake ship. It is just great. And it all culminates with the 87 movie's opening credits, the Battle on the Statue of Liberty, which is the best G.I. Joe ever was.
It's great animation on the opening.
And it's also like,
it looks fantastic.
yeah, like it's like no matter how rushed, because like, sometimes they would do whole episodes in 6 weeks. Like when I interviewed Buzz Dixon, who was the story editor for season 1 and the showrunner for season 2 and the real writer of the movie, he likened it to like a freight train. He's like, the freight train is always coming, and whenever it comes by, you just have to chuck whatever you have onto it, and there's no stopping the freight train. So he was like, when it came to story ideas, we would just be like, you got an idea? Good, go do it.
I feel like that chaotic energy does end up in the show.
But like they give like
it does. It certainly does.
Yeah, which to me is like you get almost sometimes your best work when you do not have time to overcomplicate it and overthink it, and you are under that pressure, and it's just like the Dreadnoks are cops.
Yeah,
go.
right.
Yeah, right. Well, after we get out of the opening theme, we have the story in progress. So we are in media race. The Cobra agents, led by Zartan, have stolen a matter transmuter set of blueprints, or possibly the matter transmuter itself. I got a little confused here, but it's fine. Don't worry about it.
To make it even more confusing is those actually aren't Cobra agents. Those are the Dreadnoks, who are mercenaries that Cobra Commander frequently employs, much to Destro's hatred of them. Which is, I'm not correcting you or nothing, because I am also like that Cobra. But it is such a funny little wrinkle that they do play with in this episode, where Destro is like, "Why the fuck did you hire them?" He's like, I did it because you couldn't do it.
Just like a queer couple would.
Yeah, and I do like that it
bitchy.
sets off that like you immediately get set up on their sort of tiffs that they have in their disagreements, which is like if this is your first episode or whatever, you're like me or coming in with very little knowledge of it, it's sort of like, okay, they're catty bitches who like hate each other, which I think plays into how the parallel universe works.
Yes,
like ultimately too, which is very smart.
Here we get a little beginning of Steeler's whole thing. He's feeling a little despondent. He's thinking about quitting the Joes. Everyone says, no, there's so much good to it in the world.
I'm telling you, Lady J, being a G.I. Joe is ruining my life. I don't have time for nothing else. Why do you think I ain't got a girlfriend no more? She got sick of worrying about me all the time. That's why.
Oh, put a sock in it already, will you, Steeler?
Yeah, motion seconded. We've all had to make sacrifices.
I'm quitting, G.I. Joe.
Hey, look, you had a close shave. You just spooked us all. You'll get over it.
I've had it. Nothing ever changes. Cobra hits us, we hit them, over and over.
Hey, sometimes it does seem like there's nary an end in sight.
So what's the point? If the battle's never gonna be won by either side, why bother fighting it?
But then there's a conflict, the transmuter goes off, and when the Joes wake up, everything is different.
I love that Steeler is basically just like, I can't get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
My girlfriend broke up with me because, and the Lady J's like, hey man, we've all made sacrifices. Yeah. And also like, welcome to Steeler's first ever glimpse, inkling of a personality.
Okay, that was my guess. That was my guess, Brad, because it
Yeah.
didn't seem like this was an established, a character that I had seen maybe, but not established.
Steeler and Grunt are two of the original 13 Joes, which like hardcore G.I. Joe fans love, but to me, they're all just riffs on Green Army Man, and I don't understand, like almost none of them are interesting, none of them have personalities, and so like Grunt and Steeler are two of those. I'm pretty sure this isn't their first appearance, but like this is the first time they have like a significant. The third one is Clutch, who actually is a big deal. He's a big deal in the comics. The weird thing about Clutch, though, who is basically like the G.I. Joe's driver character, he's also very hot. He has a beard, so love him. And on his file card, it says he's from New Jersey. Like he's like Lance Steinberg from New Jersey. But on the cartoon, I call him Kentucky Clutch because he's got the thickest Southern accent out of nowhere. And it's like, what? Why was this decision? Which is weird because a lot of the time, if you go through and like listen to the Joe's accents, like there's a lot of accent work going on. If you look, it's the voice actors are getting these file cards because they would basically send Larry Hama's dossiers, and they'll see like, oh, he's from Vermont. Like, I think whoever voices Snowjob is from Vermont. And I watched the episode and I was like, let me just like look up Vermont accent, and I was like, oh my god, the voice actor is trying to do a Vermont accent. Incredible. Like it gets that granular, which is really cool. And then with this, they were just like,
kind of Southern, not quite Rogue, but a little north of Rogue. You got it. There it is. Yeah,
it's very strange. And he's actually a significant character in the current comics. He's like a co-lead essentially. So losing him is actually the gag of these two.
And it is just because their toys were selling and they're discontinuing them for like cooler toys, right? That's basically the reason why this whole episode ends up happening. That's so funny.
Because they're all 82, 83 toys,
right.
And this is 85. So
you don't need a driver. You were the driver as a child playing with a vehicle. I get that at least on a fundamental.
Everyone can drive a car. How hard could it be, Mike?
Yeah.
Put Flint in there. It's fine.
Yeah. What I did like about this the entire impetus for this episode, really, like if you're looking for like the moral thing, it's like, you know, Steeler getting like the worst version of his wish, like the monkey's paw, for seeing what he's thinking, like answering his question, right? But I do really like that I kind of felt that idea of sort of like, we're fighting so hard. Why the fuck does it even matter at this point? It feels like the world's going to end regardless and it's all just going to be shit and nobody's happy. So who gives a fuck? And like, obviously in this specific scenario, they're literally like superhero soldiers fighting an actual evil, like supervillain organization. So like, it's a little bit extreme to be like, well, yeah, obviously it will be worse if Cobra wins versus if G.I. Joe wins, dude. But I can relate to the idea of feeling so exhausted by fighting battles that seem never ending, that aren't changing, that doesn't feel like they're changing anything for so long. That's sort of like, well, maybe I should just fucking give up. Like, what's the point of wasting my life fighting for something that is never going to accomplish anything? And then getting the answer of sort of like, no, there is always something worth fighting for ultimately, even if it's hard, you know. I like that is where this episode starts, and that is ultimately the through line and the whole reason for having an alternate universe thing.
I pitched this basically because like this is the mission statement for I think the entire franchise in terms of like its liberal, progressive, anti-fascist. Saturday morning, it was weekday mornings or weekday. I was syndicated, but like still like in a cartoon in the 80s that was designed to sell toys. Like a lot, like literally Cobra's entire playbook is unfolding in America right now to like scary degrees. Like just in the last like couple of weeks, like Trump putting up that banner with his face on it and stuff is like Cobra Commander literally does that in this episode. Like really distressing. And then there are people that think that G.I. Joe would have gone to capture Maduro.
They would not. They would not.
And it's like, this episode, I don't need to jump ahead. I'll get to it.
Well, for now, we still have to establish where everyone is. So we follow the Joes. They are going to look for supplies. They've learned that the G.I. Joe organization has gone underground. They stop by a mom and pop shop and they pay in U.S. dollars. They
buy 8 motorcycles from a gas station.
It's an alternate universe. We don't know how things work there. That's probably perfectly normal over there.
Yeah.
Every gas station just has...
I didn't even remember at first. At first, when they said, "Can we buy those bikes?" I was like I thought they meant like bicycles, like bicycles, and I was like, that kind of makes sense. But then they cut to all of them on like mopeds, like motorbikes.
No,
that's insane.
Of the episode, this was the most toyetic moment for me because it was like, yes, you should be able to go into any store and buy 8 G.I. Joe bikes if you want to. Like that's how our world should be.
And if you can't, tell your local Target to get them. But like one of the interesting political things about this is like when Flint goes to pay, like this visor comes down, scans his retinas, and is basically like you weren't like no delinquency found.
Yeah.
Like he can exist in this world. Like we have not marked him, we have not put him on a list, which also feels relevant.
Yeah, this episode doesn't go like full surveillance state or anything, but they're definitely like playing in that zone for sure, which I appreciate. And they take every opportunity they can to use that. And I think I like the shopkeeps too, being like really kind of like I don't know, this is just like life, like whatever. Yeah, I mean there's some rebels or something.
They're as complacent as a lot of people just kind of have to be or are nowadays. Like they don't come across as like evil or anything. They're doing their job. They even say like, no, Flint looks like a nice boy or something. Like, it's like, God, you guys are compliant with like Cobra laws. Cobra and their Cobra's edict that every single bodega must also sell motor vehicles.
That one I don't hate. I mean, I would love to be able to buy a bike from a small mom and pop store in presumably the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, that's also like the location is like they're near Mount Rushmore, but also Washington D.C.
Don't worry about it. You can't. You can't get into the geography of this because I lost my mind at one point in time just trying to figure out where do GI Joe episodes usually happen, and the answer is everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
I do like the end of this where they pay in US dollars and then they're already on their way out and the shopkeeper is like, these are worthless. And that's our I think, glimpse into the audience of thinking like, oh, something else is happening here.
Yeah.
It's so Twilight Zone. Like the way it is like slowly revealed is very, Serling. It's very, which is also cool because like all of these writers are dudes in their, 20s and 30s in the 80s. So they grew up on Serling and also reading Heinlein and Robert E. Howard and like Lovecraft and like, so all of those ideas are all congealed into like through the superhero prism because a lot of them come through comics. And so you get this really interesting mix. Like when I was interviewing Buzz Dixon for my piece, he had so many references. Every single choice they made was always hearkening back to some, movie. Like he quoted both like Alien and Lawrence of Arabia and, Robert E. Howard. And like, it's so cool. Like there's a lot of thought going into this that is not put into, a lot of other stuff.
Right, yeah.
Well, I don't think
Popples or whatever.
I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but like Marty Pasco did write on the 85 Twilight Zone show. So like he was literally writing Twilight Zone at the same time as writing this episode, probably. So like I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that's a perfect comparison. I do also like when they're postulating, I forget who it is, but someone is sort of like, I don't know, guys, it feels like we might be like in the future or something. Like maybe we've time traveled to the future, and everyone laughs hysterically at him. And I'm like, guys, look around though. Like and also look at like, you're all like a bunch of superheroes. Like, I don't think the time travel thing is that weird. He's not right, but it's a valid theory.
Experienced a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, but then Flint hypothesizes that they, quote, Rip Van Winkled through the end of the war, and everyone's like, yeah, I guess we could have slept through a war. That's possible. And I was like, no. You got to harass this guy just as much as you did the time travel guy.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Well, but Flint is high ranking.
Well, that's true.
That's true. They have to listen to him.
As straight G.I. Joe fans like to point out all the time and argue, the chain of command goes Hawk, Duke, Flint, Beachhead, Sergeant Slaughter. Like,
oh my God,
that is incredible to me because I truly got very little sense of rank in this. It felt more like I'm the team leader, and my co-team leader in this episode is Lady J. And like that was awesome to me. I didn't get any sense. In fact, at one point in time, I actually wrote down in my notes, are these people even military? Because it felt so. It felt like it wasn't like they have a military liaison. Like they felt like
that's true.
They feel like a totally different entity.
They're not written like soldier characters, which I like because I don't like that a lot of times in cartoons.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
which they also shouldn't be. Like if you are this small 50 is not small, but like they're uber military.
Yeah.
It's like this is all the stuff you do before you've proven yourself to be like a hyper competent specialist badass, and then you actually get to have a personality,
Yeah. Once they end up like retaking their, their base essentially, the G.I. Joe base is still in like the same Placer, I guess. That's when they kind of figure out that like all the other Joes are basically missing in action and or dead.
Yeah, dead.
Our communication satellite ain't in orbit no more.
Then we can't reach the ones that went underground?
Flint, I think we may be the only ones left. Take a look. I called up the duty roster on the records computer. Of roughly 50 active Joes, all but 6 are listed as missing in action.
And of those 6, 3 were lost.
Casualties of the last war against Cobra.
Which is crazy. Like, so thinking about the notes that X-Men the Animated Series would get, and that's because like when the FCC or whatever got hard again in the early 90s as a result of G.I. Joe, actually. Like parents groups got up in arms in the 80s about these are commercials for our kids. And it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
And so like when thinking about X-Men, how they had to always say like, he wasted a couple guys.
Right.
Like they always had to say waste or take out. They could not say kill or dead.
Spider-Man loved to say destroy. Oh, I will be destroyed.
Destroy, which
Worse.
is way more intense.
Yeah, I think so, but
it's like you're gonna be atomized. So to see them actually like Steelers like Bazooka Alpine, like I'm never gonna see them. Like they start mourning and like reading the names of the dead. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. I think they spent a long time spelling out the full names and then like code names for like many characters. Like this isn't they don't like shy away from that.
Well, and it worked for me as an adult, but I wondered about watching this if I was a child, if I would have been a little bored here. But as an adult, I was getting a little emotional. And maybe
I do remember seeing these episodes as a kid,
Yeah?
and I was like, "Oh my!"
Okay,
God.
this worked for you. Okay, great.
Especially a moment in episode 2.
Yeah. Oh
really
my God. Well,
Yes,
rattled
oh
me.
yeah, 100%.
I was shocked by some of the places they go. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. But first we have to go into town. So the Joes go into town to learn more, and they discover that the new Imperial Force of Cobra has assigned police officers to sort of withhold the standards of Cobra living, and these are the people who confront them. You named these people earlier. The Dreadnoks, am I getting this right,
The
Brett?
Dreadnoks,
Thank you.
yeah. Buzzer, Ripper, and Torch.
Great. So they're cops
or Winkin',
now.
Blinkin', and Nod,
Yeah.
as their real names are. And they are leather daddies.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All the Dreadnoks are just belly shirt, leather vest, chains, like just fetish gear all the way down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
But so like what this is also wild because it is the fascist regime in charge has put unqualified morons in uniform and just sent them out to like enforce the rules. Does that sound familiar to what any regimes are doing?
Yeah.
Like
it shocked me how direct it is because they don't like. I feel like I've seen plenty of versions of this type of story where it's just like, okay, the bad guys have taken over this alternate reality, so the streets are dominated by their soldiers and their mooks, just like it would be. They don't call them anything with that. And the fact that they are specifically like, oh, Cobra has made their own guys cops, and they call them cops, and they call them the police all the time. Like it is unambiguous that it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, like the institution of the police, they're just whoever's working for the police is just working for whoever is in charge, regardless of they are. Like there's no inherent morality there or anything. Like I love that it's just and it's just so direct about that. I was shocked about that.
Yeah. Other Joes are doing airborne reconnaissance. They must be over DC, they must be over everything, because this is where we see Rushmore that has been
because Grunt or someone like hacks into a satellite so they can start seeing satellite images of. But then they also end up in Washington.
Yes.
So like I don't know.
And that's where we see the Lincoln Memorial has been remade in the image of Cobra. The Capitol now has a giant Cobra instead of the dome.
Wow, someone remodeled a classic American structure that's literally on our money or whatever. Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow, that doesn't happen.
Christ.
And then also they go by Mount Rushmore, and Cobra Commander and Destro's faces are on it now.
Yeah.
There's like, signs of Cobra Commander's face and like just such like, pledging. And it's intercut with also scenes in the inner city of the people that live in there who are all in a food line.
Yep.
Oh,
because they are all poor.
Yes, and we'll get even more of that in the second part of the episode, so I will wait for them to actually name what these people are doing to earn their food rations for that part of the episode, because that was a big gaping mouth open situation for me.
Yeah.
But this is where the Joes realize that they're not in the future. They didn't sleep too long. It is the same date. They get a newspaper. They're in a parallel world.
Yep. And it's Barbecue that finds that out.
Somehow the matter transmuter opened a portal to a parallel world, like you'd expect a matter transmuter to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
fine.
That's fine. Yeah. It turned a bridge into ice earlier. It was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turned a safe into a paper safe.
That was cool. Now listen, if I could turn steel items into paper, tissue paper, that was awesome.
I love that, like, Cobra's, like, their demonstration is, now we can go and break into safes. It's like, you are a global terrorist organization. Like, you gotta aim bigger than just safes.
Brett, though, my favorite part about all that is that in the video that shows that, there's a bar at the bottom that says dramatization, which means that this organization paid actors to set this up to demonstrate what the matter transmitter would do.
So true.
They would absolutely.
That's so funny.
Queen Cobra Commander behavior. Love you.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my God. The only other through line to this episode before we get into the second part is like Steeler getting bit by a weird, gross looking insect that like makes him progressively sicker and kind of like go mad from it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really fun element, that like being in a parallel universe that's like dystopian is fucked up enough when you're also like really, really sick and like infected with a virus or whatever. Like that's only gonna make it worse. Like that's kind of the worst scenario for this.
He's already on the edge. He's already like, I got 1 foot out the door.
Yes.
I need to get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he gets bitten by a tiny, like, dragonfly, a hot pink dragonfly scorpion.
weird.
Like, it's crazy looking.
Yeah.
And he's like, ugh. And then his eyes continually get just like deeper purple. He gets like spots all over his face, is always sweating. Like, it's real. And he's just like slowly losing it.
Yes. He enters a dissociative state pretty quick. But the through line of like, why am I fighting? I think the nice thing about the dissociation is it brings the like, why am I fighting to like the forefront.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That gets us into part two. Yeah, we got. There's tons of action sequences, obviously, that like can't really spend a lot of time on because what was there to say that? Like,
like in part one, so like they've split up and like Grunt and Steeler are back at the headquarters still, and then Flint, Lady J, Footloose, and Airtight are together in Washington in some Skyhawks.
So close. Then, Lady J, Clutch, and Footloose are the ones in the
Lady J, Clutch, and Footloose. God, yeah. And then so that means Airtight, Barbecue, and Flint
Correct.
are they're the ones that get arrested by the Dreadnoks. Yes. And then like Barbecue does a baller move where he like slams the foot on the gas and like wrecks the car, and I'm like, good for you, Barbecue. You don't ever do much, and I'm so happy for you.
But suffice to say, everyone gets kidnapped and finds a way out of their kidnapping. Like this
multiple times.
Yeah. That's just what happens in this episode.
Yeah.
And episode 2 starts with the other three, Lady J, Footloose, and Clutch getting captured in Destro's matter-sucking net thing.
Like even like deactivates lasers and stuff.
Yeah. It sucks all the energy out of it.
Yeah.
That is the most like well-used commercial break of this episode, because like Lady J is falling to her capital D death, and we break to commercial and we do not resume with her, and I was like, what happened? What happened to her?
My queen, where is she?
But then we find her later, so we'll get to her capture in a little bit.
Yeah, they do destroy the Lincoln Memorial, which is kind of wild that happens.
And like allowed to, because it's the Cobra Memorial, but I was like,
it's already been destroyed.
I was like, yikes! Destroying a national landmark is a wild choice for a children's cartoon.
Yeah.
And I think if this was made in the 90s, that would, even with Cobra Commander on it, would not be allowed to happen.
No, and it's. Part two goes harder.
Yes.
Part one.
I feel like it's a really distinct shift. Really shocking, honestly. Like they saved it for part 2, and then
truly,
it's a good escalation. It has a good build.
Because we mentioned it before, but the soup line is actually in part 2. And this is where Flint and his team go to the Washington Mall, and they're like, oh, all of these people, in order to get their meal, are part of slave labor on the National Mall of Washington, D.C. Yeah. I mean...
Oh, and he says, like, oh, that's one way to solve unemployment. Like, they joke. They made like, yep, yeah. God, it's really,
depressing.
Dystopian.
Someone gives the throwaway line that the Dreadnoks may be cops, but they're still stupid. Okay. Well... all right, there we are.
The Venn diagram is a circle.
Okey-dokey.
We've still got more of Steeler's illness intensifying as this goes along and everything like that.
Is this where he like runs out?
Yes.
He initially runs out of the G.I. Joe headquarters, and so what I like, the allusions to almost cursing in this is also like, he starts screaming about like, we've gone to the devil.
Yeah. Dude.
Not alive! We're not alive! Can't be! No, we must have died in that explosion! And now we've gone to the devil!
I was expecting him to say we've gone to hell. But also like, the devil is weirder.
Yes.
And therefore more like intense, especially Chris Latta screaming it.
Yes.
Is like,
it's
creepy.
It's very emotional also. Like the performance that we get for Steeler, for a character that is about to be written off and was kind of not important before this, it's kind of out of 10, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like very real too, because I think like a lot of stories like this, the parallel universe stuff, like, it's usually superheroes are in it, so they're just kind of doing their own thing. And I do feel like Steeler's reaction is a little bit more realistic, because it's like you're basically having to question your entire reality. And it's like, well, cool. Yeah. I'm stuck in like the worst version of the world now. What the fuck am I supposed to do? All I wanted to do
all my friends are
dead. All I wanted to do was just like get a girlfriend and quit my job. And now I'm here in this hellhole. Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, that would drive you crazy, Like, I love that they portray that here. I don't know that I ever see that in these types of stories, at least on cartoons.
Right.
It's very Bill Paxton Aliens energy. It's very like game over, man, which is like the most relatable.
Yeah,
energy.
for sure.
And that's why I like the illness, because the illness seems to like allow Steeler's character to do those things and not have to be a hero. He doesn't have to be he doesn't have to be G.I. Joe, the all-American hero.
That's a good point.
He can be just a man who's going through some pretty shitty circumstances and reacting to them. And that's a clever way of using this like insect bite, whatever is happening with it. Like, it's just really smart.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's talking about people getting kidnapped and everything like that. We do finally get back to Lady J, who did not die from her fall. She's actually at the White House, where Cobra Commander is interrogating her and the team in their centrifugal persuader, which is like a giant fan type thing.
Right, I loved this.
Yeah. And the animation is also wild for like the centrifugal force thing looks kind of cool because it's like this motion effect.
Yeah.
But then when they slide off of them, and like Luke Skywalker down the Cloud City hole or whatever, it's very like they like point, like click and drag is what it looks like. But anyway, he's trying to get them to talk, and they're like, we aren't from here.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. The contrast from going to like the silly like superheroes are strapped to like a complicated like wild device by the supervillain to characters seeing their own skeletons and going mad from the revelation is so stark.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like Cobra Commander's got to get amped up in terms of silliness to counteract what we're about to see, which is like Steeler runs out into what we didn't mention, the like obliterated desert, because they mentioned like this is essentially like the forbidden zone in Planet of the Apes.
Right.
Like a lot of it gave me Planet of the Apes vibe, because this is where they test all their weapons. Like, and then they mention the Weather Dominator and a couple other weapons that are actually from previous episodes.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and what I want to bring up, because this is a thing that I have seen right-wing fascist G.I. Joe fans bring up, is that like G.I. Joe represents law and order. They would they're not supposed to blah, blah. And you see in these two episodes the clearest example of like when Cobra took control of the government, what did G.I. Joe do? They became the resistance.
Right.
They did not follow orders. They were not part of, air quote, law and order. They were part of moral good, and they were not dumb enough to take orders to go kidnap the president of Venezuela or whatever,
Right.
or to like go attack brown people in Minneapolis. Like, they did not follow those orders because they know those orders were bad.
Right.
So when people look at G.I. Joe as this, like, you know, military, like, right, blah, 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 like, it drives me crazy because this is widely regarded as the best episodes of G.I. Joe. And so, like, the foundation of this is they're the resistance.
Right. And
that's also, like, what, like, Steeler, like, they're looking for, like, where did they all go? And then they find 3 of them out in the desert.
Mother of mercy. They're Joe's. Poor devils. They must have got caught in one of Cobra's weapons test. Steinberg L? But that's Clutch's name. Graves? R.W.?
Graves? That's you, Grunt!
Yeah, well, I know I ain't dead. Hey, these guys must have been the Joe team from this world. Yeah, that's it.
That one. Who's that one? Pulaski. It's me.
Which also coincidence, like, Fate had playing a cruel trick.
Yeah. No, I love all of that. It's really really well handled in this, and like kind of powerful too. I think, like, if you're a kid watching this in the same way that, you know, like watching like Star Wars and rooting for the rebels and stuff is, and the way people get that wrong.
Or X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, Night of the like the fact that the first episode of X-Men, Night of the Sentinels, is the mutants breaking into a government building to destroy all their files, their, like, illegally obtained files on mutant citizens, is like, that's episode 1, baby.
Yeah, yeah. And like I think like similar conversations with like Captain America, who isn't always like written perfectly, but like when written well, it's like if he's in a position where he is in an underdog position, he will fight the American government because he's not there to just stand up for what the American government is. He's there to basically represent like what America could be if it wasn't a shitty place. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is what G.I. Joe is to me. And that it was easier to believe in and enjoy G.I. Joe. I mean, okay, like, I mean, our president's, like, government's always been fucked.
Yeah.
But it was like, if it was fucked at a 10 before, it's like fucked at a 38
Sure.
now, so it makes it a little bit harder. But yeah, no, they find skeletons of the 3 of them.
They do. They do.
They find Clutches first, which is good because he's not there.
Yeah, it was a smart
then
order of
Grunt
reveal.
is like-
Yeah.
And then it was like Grunt is like, this is me. And then Steeler, poor Steeler, finds his own skeleton wearing their wearing like the tattered remnants of their costumes. Pure skeleton too. No meat on those bones, baby.
no.
Just like that's crazy.
Yeah, and like they're drawn incredibly. The skeletons are like grody and creepy looking. Like this is out of like a horror cartoon.
Yeah. This is great.
Shocking. Shocking.
And again, considering that we're like flashing back to Cobra Commander being like, these boa constrictors will crush you. I was like,
Robot boa constrictors.
Robot boa constrictors. I did let you fall to your death earlier, but now these robot boa constrictors will crush your insides. And then we cut back to like, oh my God, I'm dead in this world. Like it's just, it's intense. And
I'm touching my own skeleton.
I think
that is why.
I think the peak and valley there actually makes it work better for the dramatic scene with Steeler and delivers on this like character journey he's going on, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Is Lady J the one though that like works up the momentum while they're hanging to like leap through the window and like kick Cobra, kick Cobra Commander and that snake thing wraps around?
It's Lady J's idea, but she instructs one of her fellows, and I think it was Footloose, to actually do it. And then once he successfully does it, she then does it, and she kicks Cobra Commander's ass a little bit.
It is funny. He gets his ass kicked in this episode. Like both of them knock him hard against the wall. Like he gets up and then she comes back and kicks him again. Like it kind of rules.
He even gets strangled by one of his own little robo snakes. Like poor guy.
Yeah.
He just needs a hug. He needs a hug.
I can fix him. I swear.
But neither of the people who he's like entangled with were going to help fix him in this episode.
No.
For example,
because both Baroness and Destro have ulterior motives.
Yeah.
And like at some point, like Cobra Commander gets word of like, wait a second, Destro captured 3 G.I. Joes? Why did he do that?
Dare he?
Like, he didn't tell me? Like, and so the seed is planted of like, they're mad.
I think
the girls are fighting.
Yeah, I actually think it's a really cool, well-observed thing about this episode, because it's like I like any supervillain team up thing where like they all kind of hate each other and like destroy themselves and everything. It's always fun. But I think with this one specifically, since it is about this like global terrorist organization winning and taking over the world, and then showing that like once they have been installed in power and have gotten everything they want, they don't actually have any real shared foundational like beliefs. Like they don't actually believe in anything. The only thing they believe in is just having more power. So the second that they all have exactly what they want, they have won completely, then they're like, well, now we've got to like fucking kill each other because I want to be the only one. Like no one is actually in it for any greater cause but themselves, which I think is so insightful.
That sounds familiar.
Exactly. It's so insightful and so like well observed and like correct. Like that is how it would go down. They would end up eventually destroying themselves and making the world worse in the meantime because they don't actually believe in anything.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Except Baroness does.
Oh, well,
as we find out.
Here we are. Baroness has sent her assistant, I think is named, but I didn't know her name. Sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
Also, the animation errors of like sometimes she is wearing a straight up bikini, like thong, and sometimes it's a jumpsuit.
Right, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
She's Sasha Colbying around.
So,
we love it.
Yeah, she comes and picks up Steel. She's been sent to get Steeler because Baroness is worried about his health. And we find out that in this world, Baroness and Steeler are romantically involved, and she is a double agent for the Joes.
Fucking gag.
Yeah.
Shook every like what? Like I love completely did not even consider that as a possibility in this.
You're checking the timestamp. There's like 4 minutes of the episode left, and I was like, what is happening?
So what's crazy is that actually, like in the current Energon universe, Baroness is on the Joes.
Oh, cool.
I love
As she
that.
should be.
Yeah, and it's because like she is still like the same Baroness. Like she was rich, spoiled, became a terrorist, etc. And she gets kidnapped and put in the pit, which is the G.I. Joe headquarters, which at this point is a prison. And then before the Joes are formed, Duke is himself arrested because Starscream killed his co-pilot, and Duke saw a giant robot smash a human, and the government keeps saying giant robots don't exist, and he's like kind of lost his mind in this vendetta against Transformers.
Normal behavior.
So that's a lot. So he ends up in the prison next to Baroness, and so then when they break out, Baroness is like by his side. So she is like this weird, like she's fighting for the Joes because obviously she's useful, but she also like is still in prison. Like she can't leave the pit and go on like vacation.
Aww.
Like she has to like beg and like be like, I want to just have a weekend off.
Yeah.
And like, you know, so it is like this interesting push and pull, and you can totally tell like she's gonna join Cobra eventually, but it's like this really fascinating thing. And I think that the germ of it is in seeing Baroness as this leader of a resistance, as like on the Joes.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating turn. And also she doesn't wear glasses when she's good.
Okay.
That's true. Everyone who wears glasses is evil, as we all know.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. All three of us.
Yeah. So is this the first time in the G.I. Joe universe that Baroness has been suggested to not be just like pure evil then?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Because I mean, she's pretty like just screaming lunatic at all times, and that's what I love about her. But you know, you can see like where, you know, if things shake out a little bit differently, because her background is like she is the daughter, like she's a rich girl from Eastern Europe, and they're like Destro is like of intergenerational weapons manufacturers. Like his family has been involved in war and making weapons for hundreds of years, and that's what the mask is like. It's a traditional thing. And then Cobra Commander is, you know, a defector from a snake society.
Of course. Okay.
So Baroness's origin is not as technically evil. You
Right.
could see where maybe like a tweak could happen and she goes in that direction.
That makes sense.
Or she gets everything she wants and realizes, oh God, these two men are still fighting. This is so boring.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I love that. No, that's so.
And so she gets her like her cadre of like thong wearing Cobra ladies. And she's like, who run the world,
Yeah,
girls?
And she just hangs out in her pink robe. I love.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Morning Stealer, whose corpse is just out.
Yeah.
She has to know where it is.
truly.
Like, it is not hidden. It is just over a ridge.
Yeah.
Give him a proper burial, Baroness.
Yeah, she's still in the denial phase about it. Like, that's not his skeleton; it's fake. We're gonna pretend he's still alive.
Yeah. At least Steeler doesn't lead her on either. Like, she finds out pretty quickly, no, we're from an alternate reality. So, like, there is no, like, I am your boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't do
There's an alternate version of this episode where, like, they meet up earlier and they play that for a long time. But I think it's better that they don't, because I think it kind of drives the conclusion of this more than anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So since she's clued in and she's part of the team, Baroness manipulates Cobra Commander and Destro against each other. It is a real Alyssa Edwards, Coco Montree situation. And she instigates a war between these two factions. They even say civil war. But
yep, the very first Cobra Civil War.
But tick, 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 the episode's got to end. So the Joes are like, we could just go back to the portal and return home. And that is what they do.
Yeah. It is wild. Like, so in theory, like, when they woke up, the portal was right there.
Yeah, they just didn't turn around, I guess. Like, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
I think these episodes are great. I do think that last bit, that final solution, is a little bit like a little bit half-assed. They're like, oh, we have like a minute left. There's the portal there. It's fine. We'll just go home. Like,
it's kind of like, this is either going to be a two-parter or a fight.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, there's no in between.
Right.
So it's like, we got to just wrap this up because we can't go over 3 more.
Yeah.
We can't make this a whole week. You know, there are no 3-part episodes.
Yeah.
So they go through and it is like the gag of like, Steeler's like, I found something to fight for. Like, they actually, I don't have anyone waiting for me out there. Again, he's like, remember guys, I don't have a girlfriend. and then the way that, like, I like also Grunt's characterization in this episode of just like being so attentive to Steeler, you know, or, you know, maybe there's a one-sided crush there. Who knows? You know, Grunt stays behind, and then Clutch is like, you know, even though I'm kind of a B-list character, I guess I'm gonna stay too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That also like really shocked me at the end, because as soon as they start talking, like I thought he was gonna try to bring Baroness back home, like or whatever, and then because he doesn't have a girlfriend and she could be his girlfriend, obviously, and that she was gonna refuse, and they go back, you know. But the fact that it was just like, no, it's just like, yeah, we're not going back. It's fine. We're gonna stay here. Like, I don't know. It's really gutsy. And I know that like technically the decision was because they're like discontinuing their toys, but like narratively, it makes these episodes better. It makes these episodes genuinely better because there's real consequences to these experiences. And for Steeler especially, it's like you have a character that went through an entire arc, learned something, and now like he went from being someone who's just like, I just want to hang out at home and play video games and get a girl and like kiss girls, to being like, I'm going to actually completely change my entire life and give it to saving a world that desperately needs it. Like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the reason for fighting now. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
It's pretty great.
It is awesome.
And then also, like, if you watch these episodes in script order, like, they don't ever show up again.
Yeah.
They do show up in the movie, like, in background shots, like, you know, probably because of animation errors, or also just the storyboard directors wanted to try to intentionally cram every character into the movie since it was theoretically the last thing. So they only show up like there. And it's like, that's, you know,
so cool.
Commitment. Not that they were really, Steeler and Grunt weren't big. Oh, no. Grunt actually becomes a big character in the Deke continuation in season 2 anyway. So I guess he comes back at some point. Grunt comes back. Which, I mean, the portal seems to just be right there.
Yeah.
It seems to just be opening and closing.
Yeah. Just hang out long enough and you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Wow, what an episode, Brett. Thank you so much for calling our attention to this. It is cool to know this is also one of the highest rated episodes. Is there anything we didn't get a chance to talk about with this 2-parter, Worlds Without End?
Yeah, I think that what I want people to know about G.I. Joe is that it is a oh my God, a sci-fi franchise dedicated to like rich characterization and not just a boring military show, you know. And that what I also find fascinating is that all of the main creators of the show are incredibly progressive, liberal, like Buzz Dixon, Steve Gerber, Larry Houston, Larry Hama, obviously. And which is why I don't understand what right-wing fans get out of this, aside from just like nostalgia. And it's the weird nostalgia brain of like, you think they've all gone woke because all of a sudden all your heroes you don't agree with your heroes anymore, and you don't internalize that of like, wait a second, why don't I agree with
I'm the
Captain
bad
America
guy.
anymore?
Yeah.
Like, why am I the bad? Like, yeah, maybe we're the baddies. I just think that like it's such a fun franchise, and it's really rich to dive into. And then you have episodes like, but then you also have episodes where, you know, Cobra runs a telethon so they can raise money to hack Interpol, and Destro does stand-up comedy.
Well, that's my next watch, truly.
Or an episode where a modeling agency steals models' faces so that this woman can become young forever.
Fuck yeah. So good.
great.
I love
Okay.
cartoons. I love this
Yeah.
shit. So good.
I do think, to your point, Brett, I think there is iconography that if you only look at the surface,
Yeah.
I could see how this would go for you in the way that I think people are drawn to Superman, Batman, The Punisher, and you just don't pay attention to anything else, and you just sort of take iconography and you say, well, this is what looks like it's for me. I mean, Derek, you brought up Captain America earlier. I see terrible people wearing Captain American shield shirts all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I have a very limited understanding of these characters, very limited, and I know you missed the point.
Yeah.
So you have gone out of your way not to learn the point.
Yeah.
Well, and what is wild is those fans, like a lot of fans, actively do not like Larry Hama and Buzz Dixon because they are so outspoken liberal. And I'm like, if you do not like the two people who are the most responsible for the thing, maybe you don't like the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's very J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, I know like a lot of Harry Potter fans who are like, I can't like this anymore because now I can see her strain through the franchise. And it's like, you let it go. You find something else. And I'm like, there's plenty of military shit that you can go jerk off to if you need.
I'm a huge Jag fan.
Jeez. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I hope the Max Landis movie doesn't happen. That's the biggest hope.
No. And I hope the Danny McBride, I hope if it is real and Danny McBride actually gets it, he's the perfect person to do it. Absolutely the perfect person. He gets it, like, on so many levels, on like masculinity and America and his take on all of that as seen through all of his work. It's like he's the most perfect person to do G.I. Joe. So it won't happen. It will absolutely be Max Landis, if it even happens.
Well, not to end on a downer note. These episodes were fucking great. Again, thank you again. This has been a joy.
Thank y'all.
Brett, there is a lot to enjoy about you and your love of G.I. Joe, but a lot of other pop culture as well. So where can folks find more about you and the other stuff that you do online in the world?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram at Brett White. You can read Pop Heist and subscribe for, I think, as low as $7.99 a month and get access to all of our retro recaps. We pride ourselves on being passion forward. I don't police what writers write. They do what they want to do, and we don't have any ads, no SEO, no CEOs. Please support worker-owned journalism. And then I also, at times, do drag. You can go to Barb Hardley on YouTube and find my G.I. Joe drag content, where I go through the hunks of G.I. Joe and try to find my G.I. Joe husband. I do believe I settled on rock and roll as my G.I. Joe husband. So.
Okay. As for me, I'm Dmuma everywhere on socials. That's DMUMA. And then I'm on a couple other podcasts here on the Glitterjaw Network. One of them I do with Hamish Steele. We talked about it earlier when we talked about King Koopa's cool cartoons. Super Mario Moment, I joined for season 3 to talk about Mario's film and television appearances. And then with my friends Marilee and Tyler, we talk about horror media on a podcast called Fear Coded. Derek, what about you?
Sure, you can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. My other podcasts include Whopping Web Snappers, where we do deep dives into Spider-Man cartoons, Screonk, where we go through the Godzilla films, Falling with Style, where we look at Pixar movies, and Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, where we look at the Simpsons tie-in video games. I've got a couple articles on Pop Heist as well, so great website. I would recommend it as well if you want to read about Spider-Man and Mannequin. I've written out both of those things there.
Spider-Mannequin. Gimmicks is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you're looking for other queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com.
If you want to support the show by giving us a little tip, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/gimmicks-pod. You can also follow this podcast at gimmicks-pod on Blue Sky and Instagram, and email us your questions, feedback, and corrections to gimmicspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms. And until next time, friends, keep being weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Cobra! Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Cobra!
Pork chop sandwiches. Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Go! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot!